My parents gifted their house to my sister as a wedding present, even though I'd been paying their mortgage for the past 5 years. Just 2 months later, they asked to move into my vacation home. I said no, but then I got a call from the police. My husband, Mark, and I arrived at the venue for my sister Lily's wedding, an envelope with $10,000 tucked into his jacket. It was our gift to her, on top of the third of the wedding costs we'd already covered. It was a steep price, but between Mark's investment banking job and my role as a marketing director, we could manage it. Besides, Lily was my only sister. As we entered, I saw my parents right away. Mom was adjusting Dad's tie while he feigned annoyance, though I could see a smile on his face. They looked radiant and was practically glowing with happiness. And Dad looked a decade younger. A knot formed in my stomach. I couldn't recall them looking this joyful at my own wedding 5 years ago. They were pleasant, certainly, but not like this, not bursting with this level of pride. I forced the thought aside. This wasn't the time for old resentments. The ceremony was flawless. Lily was a vision in her gown, and her new husband Jake was completely mesmerized. I sat between my parents and Mark, trying to soak in the happiness of the day and ignore the nagging feeling that my parents' reaction was a world apart from how they'd been at my wedding. After the ceremony, we moved to the reception for dinner, drinks, and dancing. Then came the speeches, the best man, the maid of honor, and finally, my parents stood up. Mom tapped her glass. "We want to thank everyone for coming today to celebrate our beloved daughter's wedding." The way she emphasized beloved made me shift in my seat. Mark noticed and placed a reassuring hand on mine. Dad continued, "Watching Lily grow into the beautiful woman she is today has been the greatest joy of our lives. She's always been special, always brought so much light into our home." I smiled and nodded, telling myself I was just being overly sensitive, of course. They loved her. They loved both of us. Then Mom pulled some papers from her purse. "Jake, Lily, your father, and I wanted to give you something to start your new life together. Something special." She held up the documents for everyone to see. "We're giving you our family home as a wedding present." The room filled with gasps, then thunderous applause. I froze. Beside me, Mark went rigid. I stared at my parents, then at Lily, waiting for the punchline of a joke that never came. My parents were beaming. And Lily, she wasn't surprised in the least. She was crying happy tears, hugging Jake, who was just gaping at my parents. The house. My parents' house. The house whose mortgage I had been paying for the last 5 years after. Dad's hours were cut and Mom's arthritis kept her from working full time. I plastered a smile on my face, but inside, I was screaming. They had never once mentioned this, never asked me, the person who was actually paying for it. "Tessa, you okay?" Mark whispered. "Fine," I said through clenched teeth, my smile fixed in place as Lily and Jake went to hug my parents. An hour later, I couldn't stand it anymore. I found Mark near the bar. "Can we leave?" asked quietly. He took one look at my face and nodded. "I'll get our coats." We made our excuses and early meeting for Mark. So sorry to leave. Such a beautiful wedding and escaped before anyone could object. The moment we were in the car, I broke down. "I can't believe they did that," I sobbed. As Mark started the car, 5 years I've been paying that mortgage, and they didn't even have the decency to tell me. "I know," Mark said, his voice grim. "It's unbelievable." And Lily knew. Did you see her face? She wasn't surprised at all. I wiped my eyes, anger, replacing the tears. "It's not about the money. I don't care about the money." But they could have talked to me. On the drive home, a flood of memories returned. All the times my parents had clearly favored Lily. When I graduated from college, they gave me a card with $50. When Lily graduated, they bought her a new car. It's the time they skipped my 21st birthday dinner because Lily had a volleyball game. Not even a championship. Just a game. The more I talked, the more examples surfaced. Every time Lily got what she wanted, I was overlooked. They went to all of her events but made excuses to miss mine. They bragged about her accomplishments but rarely mentioned my own. By the time we got home, I was drained. "Where are your parents going to live now?" Mark asked as we got ready for bed. I shrugged. I have no idea. That's not my problem anymore. I turned off the light, the ache in my chest a heavy weight. For 3 weeks, I tried to push it all aside. Then, one evening, my mother called. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Tessa, honey," she said, as if nothing had happened. "We're having a family dinner this weekend. Your sister and Jake are back from their honeymoon, and we'd love for you to join us." A part of me, a stupid, hopeful part, wondered if this was their chance to apologize. "Fine," I said flatly. "We'll be there." When we arrived on Saturday, I hesitated at the front door. It felt strange not to use my key, but this wasn't my parents' house anymore. Mom answered, all smiles. "Tessa? Mark? Come in." She chirped, hugging me as if she hadn't just given away the house I was paying for. I returned the hug stiffly. Dad was in the living room with Jake. He gave Mark a firm handshake and me a quick hug. "Where's Lily?" I asked. "Oh, she's changing." "The curtains in the dining room," Mom said casually. "It's been redecorating all week." My blood began to boil. It's 3 weeks, and she was already acting like she'd owned the place for years. We gathered at the dining room table. The pot roast smelled delicious, but my appetite was gone. For 10 minutes, Lily and Jake recounted every detail of their Hawaiian honeymoon. I picked at my food while Mark kept the conversation afloat. Finally, Mom cleared her throat. "So, we wanted to talk to you about something, Tessa. As you know, we've given the house to Lily and Jake." "Yes, I noticed," I said, my voice sharp. Mom pressed on. "The thing is, they're a young couple starting out. They need their own space." I waited. Dad shifted in his chair. "What your mother is trying to say is that we can't live here with them. They need privacy." "I see," I said, still unsure where this was headed. "So, where are you planning to live?" Mom and Dad exchanged a look. Lily suddenly became fascinated by her mashed potatoes. "Well," Mom said slowly, "we've decided we're going to move to your vacation home. It's the perfect size for us." I set down my fork. The vacation home was a small cottage I'd bought with my own money, saved from years of working overtime. "Was my sanctuary? Let me get this straight," I said, my voice level. "You gave your house, the house I've been paying the mortgage on for 5 years, to Lily. And now, you've decided you're moving into my vacation home without even asking me?" "Tessa," Dad said, frowning, "be reasonable. Where else are we supposed to go?" "That is not my problem," I said. "You had a house. You gave it away without consulting the person paying for it, and now you expect me to just hand over my property?" "It's not like you use it that much," Lily chimed in. I turned to her, my anger flaring. "Are you serious? It's my property. I bought it with my money. I decide who uses it." Mom's face went pale. "You can't mean that." "You're not saying no, are you?" "That is exactly what I'm saying," I replied. "No, you are not moving into my vacation home. Not now, not ever." The table fell silent before my mother's face crumpled. "How can you do this to us?" she cried. "After everything we've done for you." "Yes, and as my parents, you might have thought to discuss giving away a house I was paying for." I shot back. "You don't have the right to refuse us," she said, her voice rising. "We have nowhere else to go." "You do have a house," I pointed out. "The one I've been paying the mortgage on." "But you gave it to Lily, so now it's your problem to figure out." Lily slammed her hand on the table. "God, you're so cruel. You've always been jealous of me because Mom and Dad love me more." I stared at her, stunned. Then a sudden calm washed over me. "If Mom and Dad love you so much, and you love them so much, why don't you let them live here with you? It's a 4-bedroom house. Plenty of room." Lily's mouth snapped shut. She looked away, her plate suddenly fascinating. "That's not the point," she mumbled. Jake and I need our privacy. And I need my vacation home, I countered. Sounds like we both have needs. My parents began talking over each other, calling me selfish and disappointing. I stopped listening, stood up, and grabbed my purse. Mark, I think we're done here. The next day, my phone exploded with calls and texts from my family. I ignored them all. I showed a few to Mark, who just shook his head. I think I need to block them for a while, I said. Do what you need to do, he replied, kissing my head. Take care of yourself. So I did. 2 weeks passed in blissful silence. It was nice. Then at my desk one afternoon, my phone buzzed. Security alert for my vacation home. Motion detected. Front door opened. I checked the app. Someone had used a key, but the alarm was blaring. My phone rang. Miss Wilson, this is Safeguard Security. We've detected an entry at your property. Is this authorized? No, I said firmly. Not there. No one has permission to be. Please send the police immediately. An hour later, an officer called. Miss Wilson, this is Officer Rhea. We're at your property. We have 2 individuals here who claim to be your parents. They have keys. I closed my eyes. Yes, they are my parents, but they absolutely do not have permission to be in my house. I understand. How would you like to proceed? We can remove them, but since they used a key, it's a gray area for charges. I'm on my way, I decided. We're about an hour away. The drive was tense. How could they? After I had explicitly told them no, they just tried to move in anyway. When we arrived, a police car was in the driveway. My parents were sitting on the porch steps, looking miserable, surrounded by their suitcases and boxes. Tessa, thank God, my father said, standing up. Tell these officers there's been a misunderstanding. I walked past them to the officers. Thank you for coming so quickly. These are my parents, but they do not have permission to be here. One of the officers nodded. KM, do you want to press charges for trespassing? My mother gasped. Tessa, you wouldn't. I turned to her. You broke into my house after I specifically told you not to. What did you expect? We didn't break in, my father protested. We used the key you gave us. This is all your fault. My mother suddenly yelled. If you had just let us stay here, none of this would have happened. We wouldn't be here being treated like criminals. I was floored. My fault? You gave away a house I was paying for, tried to take my property, and somehow this is my fault. You're so arrogant, she continued. So irresponsible. We raised you better than this. Mom, stop, I said, my voice low. You're embarrassing. Yourself. You just tried to move into my house after I told you no, and now you're yelling at me in front of police officers. That seemed to silence her, though her eyes blazed with indignation. I turned back to the officers. I'd like a word in private. We stepped away. I don't want to press charges, I said quietly, but I can't have them staying here. The officer nodded. We understand. We can take them to the station for a few hours, give them a stern warning about trespassing, and then release them. Sometimes a few hours in a holding cell is a good reality check. Yes, I agreed. Please do that. I walked back to my parents. The officers are taking you to the station for a few hours. I'm not pressing charges, but you need to understand how serious this is. Okay, you can't just move into someone's house. After they left, I arranged for a locksmith and had my parents' belongings taken to a storage unit. I paid for 1 month and texted the details to Lily. On the drive home, I felt drained, but strangely liberated. For the first time, I had stood up to their manipulation. What do you think they'll do now? Mark asked. Probably go crying to Lily, I guessed. She got the house. She can have the responsibility that comes with it. A week later, I was proven. Right? I opened Facebook to a long, dramatic post from my mother, filled with sympathetic comments. Today I learned what it means to be abandoned by your own child. It began. My husband and I, in our golden years, had been cast out by our eldest daughter, Tessa, who had the police remove us from her vacation home like common criminals. The post conveniently omitted that they had given away their house, that I had been paying for it, and that they were trespassing. As I scrolled through the comments calling me heartless and ungrateful, something inside me snapped. It was time for everyone to hear the truth. I started typing my own post. Since my mother has chosen to make our private issues public, here are the facts she conveniently left out. For 5 years, I paid the mortgage on my parents' house. I did this willingly. 3 weeks ago, at my sister's wedding. My parents gave that house, the one I was paying for, to my sister as a gift without telling me. They then informed me of their plan to move into my vacation home. When I refused, they used a spare key to move in anyway, triggering the security alarm. That is why the police were involved. I did not have them arrested. I had them removed for trespassing and paid for a storage unit for their things. If my parents need a place to stay, perhaps they should ask my sister, who now owns a 4-bedroom house thanks to them and to me. I added a final line. Family goes both ways. It's about mutual respect, not just taking whatever you want. I hit post. Response was immediate. Comments from family rolled in, but this time they were supportive. I had no idea you were paying their mortgage. Wait, they gave away a house you were paying for? I should have felt vindicated, but I just felt tired. 2 days later, my cousin Jessica called. Hey, I wanted to check on you. Your parents tried to go back to Lily's house, but you wouldn't let them in. Seriously? She told them it's her house now and there's no room. They're in some crappy apartment and your mom had to go back to work full time. Part of me thought they deserved it, but another part felt a pang of sympathy. It was the mess they had created. It's just karma, Mark remarked when I told him. Yeah, I agreed, but I don't feel as satisfied as I thought I would. That's because you're a good person, Tessa, he said. My parents tried to call several times over the next few weeks, but I wasn't ready. The hurt was too fresh. One night, Mark asked, "Do you think you'll ever forgive them?" Maybe someday, I said. Not for them, but for me and Lily. That's more complicated. She knew the whole plan, and then she turned them away. At least you know where you stand now, Mark said, pulling me close. No more illusions. He was right. The whole painful experience had torn away the pretense. I'd spent years trying to win their approval, and now I knew it was a game I could never win. Strangely, that knowledge was freeing. The next morning, another call from my mother went to voicemail. Tessa, her voice was small, less demanding. We made a mistake. It's a big one. I know you're angry and you have every right to be. But please call us back. We need to talk. I deleted the message. Maybe someday I'd be ready to hear their apology, to have them back in my life. But with clear, firm boundaries. Not today. Today, I was still learning how to put myself first, something I should have done a long, long time ago.